This is News 25 with Deanna O'Donnell and Unette Gentry. News 25, local news you can count on. News is brought to you by J.K. Nelson Law. Call 727-9900 today for your free consultation. If you need a lawyer, you need Nelson.
Good evening. This is News 25. I'm Deanna O'Donnell.
And I'm Unette Gentry. It's Tuesday, September 29th. We're so glad you could join us.
And emergency crews are right now working on Highway 95 at mile marker 24 for a two-vehicle crash that appears to be a head-on collision with a rollover. Fire Chief Scott Lewis from Pahrump Valley Farm Rescue tells News 25 that one person has been transported from that scene. Well, President Donald Trump and Democratic nominee Joe Biden are in Cleveland, Ohio today for their first of three debates 35 days before the presidential election. The biggest talking point appears to be the candidates' taxes. The Biden campaign released the 2019 tax return of the Democratic nominee and his running mate, Kamala Harris. Trump is facing scrutiny over the report that he largely avoided paying taxes for 10 years. Meanwhile, Judge Amy Coney Barrett made courtesy calls on Capitol Hill as Republicans pushed to confirm her to the Supreme Court ahead of the election. The first Biden-Trump debate starts at 6 p.m. here on KPVM-TV. Channel 25.3 is scheduled to run 90 minutes.
And a local man gets additional charges after he is arrested for making a terrorist threat.
On September 10th at about 4 p.m., a Nye County Sheriff's deputy was dispatched to an address in Pahrump in reference to a male causing a disturbance. The man was identified as Randall Bacchus. Bacchus was located sitting on the southeast corner of the Horizon Market on Highway 160. Dispatched informed deputies that Bacchus has a formal trespass from all Horizon Markets in Pahrump. Bacchus was informed weeks ago that the trespass is active until the owner rescinds the trespass. The investigation indicated that Bacchus was in violation of the trespass, not amounting to burglary, for willfully going onto the property of Horizon Market after being duly warned not to return. Bacchus was taken into custody. Upon arriving at the Nye County Detention Center, Bacchus allegedly stated that he was going to, quote, blow up this place, end quote. Bacchus also allegedly commented to the deputy that he should hide his gun because he was going to get it and kill the officer. Bacchus was also arrested for verbally and willfully making a bomb threat to blow up the Nye County Detention Center.
Thanks so much to Missy Kohler for that report. Well, the Nye County Board of County Commissioners heard a presentation at the September 16th Board of County Commissioners meeting regarding the refinancing of a jail bond refinance project. The board voted unanimously to approve the bond refinance, which equals a big savings to the county. Joe Peterson, municipal advisor with J&A Consulting Group, explains.
The plan would be to refinance all of the 2010 bonds that were issued for the jail. At the moment, that those bonds are outstanding at approximately $18,845,000. And in order to refinance those, the plan would be to go out and to get refinance proposals from banks and lenders. And at the moment, we're anticipating that the borrowing would be just under $18.8 million. If you look at the numbers, it's $18,792,000. That is an estimate. Those numbers sometimes change before the final, but just to kind of give the commission a scope of what we're proposing. We would refinance the bonds, the 2010 bonds, and I think to really kind of come to the point, anticipating that the savings would be approximately $2.5 million over the remaining 20-year life of those bonds. And really that comes to bear because the old bonds are out at a 4.1% interest rate, and our current estimate is that the refinancing would be at a 3% interest rate. So if you're familiar with refinancing a mortgage, it's the same principle where you lower your interest rate, and that generates those annual payment savings. What we would expect is that the annual savings to the county would be approximately $120,000 a year.
And members of Corsco were on the phone for the September 15th Board of County Commissioners meeting to give a report on the annual plan for 2020-2021.
Adam Pohl of Corsco, the company that operates the Lakeview Executive Golf Course on behalf of the town of Pahrump, delivered the report via telephone and slideshow. Pahrump purchased the course in December of 2017, and Corsco began to operate the course in December of 2018. Poll reviewed work done on the course in 2019 and 2020 that included improvements of a new practice putting green, large short game practice area, and 3-stall driving range. New equipment was purchased and upgrades were made to the irrigation systems. Like many businesses, the course had a 35-day closure due to COVID-19. Safety measures were put into place to protect guests and employees. For the coming year, CourseCo hopes to improve course conditions and customer experience, and this will include a fee increase. They also hope to provide free non-golf community events. CourseCo is anticipating a $130,000 loss for 2020-2021, which is an improvement over last year's loss of $148,073. Poll explained that they have made progress on revenue and that it will take time to reach break even. Commissioner Strickland asked CourseCo to gather information on foot golf, an activity gaining popularity among soccer players and possible additional income source. CourseCo was asked in no uncertain terms to reach a better profitability for the taxpayer-funded course, or the commissioners would need to consider selling the golf course.
And after this break, we'll tell you which retailers are gearing up for the holidays, and it's not even Halloween yet. All that and more financial news when News 25 returns.
You're watching News 25, the most recognized and farthest-reaching local news in Nye County. News 25, local news you can count on.
Welcome back. Well, retailers are getting an even earlier jumpstart on holiday shopping season. The troubled Boeing 737 MAX is getting one step closer to flying again, and United Airlines pilots agree to reduced hours to prevent layoffs.
Topping our news, retailers are wasting no time getting ready for Christmas. Amazon will hold its big Prime Day discount shopping event October 13th and 14th. To stay in the game, Target will host its Deal Day shopping extravaganza also on October 13th and 14th. Both retailers hope to capture a customer buying binge ahead of the holidays. The chief of the Federal Aviation Administration will pilot a 737 MAX test flight this week. It is an instrumental step toward getting that troubled Boeing jet back in the air. The 737 MAX has been grounded since March 2019 following 2 fatal flights. Pilots at United have agreed to cut their work hours. That move will avoid furloughs for nearly 3,000 pilots that would have started October 1st. Government aid for the airline industry ends October 1st.
Thanks so much, Angela. Turning back now to local news, the Pahrump Valley Rotary Club has partnered with Save the Children in a new community-based early childhood learning initiative called Together We Read. And that means a fresh new batch of books for the reading room at Mount Charleston Elementary School.
What recently happened was we were able to buy all this beautiful furniture to go into our reading room here, and then our funding with the COVID got frozen. And so we have this beautiful reading room with no library books in it, basically, or no books in it, other than the ones that have been donated to us by one of our teachers that's been around for 25 plus years. And so she was able to get her books in here, but we still, you can see there's lots and lots of empty shelves here. So what I wanted to let everybody know is that through the kind donations of the Rotary Club and of the Sir Optimus International of Pahrump Valley, they both are writing grants, I believe for about $1,000 a piece, to be able to purchase books for this reading room at our pre-K. I believe we're going to be checking these books out to them so they can take it home and read with their families. But even if they're not, the good news is we have all of these beautiful books here now that the kids are going to be able to take home and keep and make that as part of their library.
The Pahrump Valley Rotary Club has been collecting books for children pre-kindergarten, and this is to encourage our kids and their families to begin reading early. And so this has been spearheaded by Dina Erdag and Eddie Williams, and they've done a great job. We now have 250 bags with books and crayons and pencils and calendars and all kinds of things for the younger kids.
It's my opportunity to help kids that's less fortunate than I was as a kid, and also less fortunate than my 2 daughters. And so once I moved here about 2.5 years ago, I joined Rotary. They kind of got me busy, and just to be able to see the smiles on kids' face once they get new books and everything, and also just to see the material that we put in there to the parents in order to help them understand how to better read to their kids and make them better readers, so when they get to school, they can learn much faster.
Wow, it's like Santa Claus came. We have a fabulous gift that has been presented to us from the Rotary, a reading bag, a reading kit, and we looked inside and it has a huge variety of books that are there for the children to have access to good opportunities to read with their families. It really is something to inspire families to start the good habit of reading, and that will jump on and keep with the children throughout their lives in school. It will help us, since we're not allowed to have that direct connection right now, it will allow us to continue to support their learning at home.
And don't grab that remote. When KPVM returns, we'll tell you what the CDC says about elevated blood sugar levels, prediabetes, and how it affects young people.
You're watching News 25, brought to you by Mountain West Lawyer, Injury Attorneys, 727-9500. News 25, local news you can count on.
Well, Nathan-Adelson Hospice is proud to announce a new level of care for our local veterans, achieving a level 5 rating from a national organization. Cheryl Johnson explains what that means for veterans seeking end-of-life care.
Nathan-Adelson Hospice recently, just last week, obtained a level 5 rating with a national program called We Honor Veterans. So they have only 5 levels. It's a program that was put together by the National Hospice and Palliative Care Organization. They partnered with the Department of Veteran Affairs to recognize the fact that veterans often face difficulty in appropriate care at end of life. And so to obtain this level 5, we have worked through the first 4 levels, and now level 5, we have done extensive internal training with our staff. We have partnered with other hospices and organizations in the state, including our local VA, both the one at the clinic in Pahrump, and then we work with the Southern Nevada VA hospital healthcare system to just educate not only our staff, but the community on veteran-specific needs. Things like recognizing the different effects of the different eras of service. We talk a lot about PTSD and trauma with a lot of veterans who have seen war in action. There can be things called a moral injury. And so our staff is just being specifically trained to recognize the effects. The VA found that there was something like only 4%, a very small percentage of veterans were receiving end-of-life care through the VA. And because of that, there was found to be this lack of recognition of veteran-specific issues and concerns, the healthcare issues, the PTSD, the trauma. There are approximately 5,500 hospice agencies across the United States. There are only 138 of those that have attained this level 5 in caring for our nation's veterans. So we are extremely honored to be able to care for our veterans and to continue to educate not only our staff, but the community on hospice, end of life, and different things that affect our veterans.
Thanks, Cheryl. Well, for more information about Nathan-Adelson Hospice, including the services available to local veterans, just go online to nah.org.
And according to the CDC, more than 84 million adults have prediabetes or elevated blood sugar levels. Now, a recent study looks at how many children and young adults are impacted by that. Dr. Ava Love of Cleveland Clinic Children's says the numbers show diabetes is no longer just an adult concern.
1 out of 5 young adolescents have a risk of developing or having prediabetes, and 1 out of 4 between the ages of 19 and 34 have the diagnosis of prediabetes.
The study looks at more than 5,000 U.S. adolescents and young adults between the ages of 12 and 34, Researchers found 18% of adolescents and 24% of young adults had prediabetes. Dr. Love says learning your child has prediabetes can be worrisome. However, it doesn't mean things have to stay that way. She says there are many factors that can impact a young person's risk for developing diabetes, including genetics, but most times risk can be lowered by adopting healthy lifestyle habits. And while achieving good health can't be done overnight, Dr. Love says we can teach children how to take the right steps to achieve it over time. She says oftentimes this means making changes that impact the whole family in a positive way. Avoiding processed foods and adding more physical activity are great places to start.
That can be implemented across the whole family because we know that the data shows that if I can get a parent to engage with walking with a kid at the end of the day, that's going to create a more successful and sustainable outcome and truly reduce their risk, not just maybe even for that child, but maybe for even those parents.
Dr. Love says left unchecked, prediabetes can lead to type 2 diabetes, which puts people at high risk for major health problems like heart disease and stroke. Complete results of the study can be found in JAMA Pediatrics.
News 25 WeatherCam is brought to you by Lerner and Rowe Injury Attorney's Office in Pahrump. In a wreck, need a check? Call 702-877-1500.
Hi, it's John Kohler from KPVM, Channel 25, and we're on location here in Pahrump at a brand new sober living home. It's livingfreehealth.org is where you check it out. It's a great organization. They provide sober living homes for men. They've got a women's home, and now this is for moms and pregnant women. Third house coming online. October 15th is the startup. There's a bunch of volunteers inside doing cleanup and prep work. And if you have that kind of help to give, if you want to volunteer, check out livingfreehealth.org online, and they'll point you in the right direction. Or if you need that kind of help, that's a good place to go, livingfreehealth.org. So check that out here in Pahrump, taking care of each other the way we do. That's the neighborly thing to do. All right. We'll be back with the weather right after this.
News 25 weather is brought to you by Dairy Council of Nevada. The splash of cream in your coffee, the dollop of sour cream on your burrito, the melted toasty cheese on your pizza. Undeniably delicious, undeniably dairy. Enjoy what's real.
Hi, good evening, Nevada. It's John Kohler from the KPVM Channel 25 Weather Studios. It's Jerry Lee Lewis's birthday. Can you believe? Last guy surviving in the $1 Million Quartet. And in honor of Jerry Lee Lewis, I'd like to high school confidentially tell you about the weather in Fernley. It's 84 for a high today, 49 for a low. Out in Fallon, there was similar weather, 84 degrees, 44 for a low. In Carson City, it got as high as 87 degrees. Now it's cooling off, and it'll cool all the way down to 45 degrees. Boy, you might want to put on your Chantilly lace sweater to warm up. I don't know. Tonopah, 81 degrees was your high today, 44 degrees as a low. Goldfield, 84 for a high, 45 for a low, and an 80% chance of donkeys in the parking lot of the dollar store in Beatty this evening, and a high of 92 with a low of 58. I saw that yesterday. It was crazy. It was kind of fun. I was in Beatty enjoying that. Amargosa, you saw 94 for a high today, 59 for a low. In Las Vegas, the big winners, 94 degrees. Sweating it out and hoping you can hang on to that money that you got. All right, 68 for a low tonight out in Death Valley. Great balls of fire. It's 103 degrees and a 72 for a low tonight. That's my Jerry Lee Lewis tribute. Let's take a look at the weather locally. 92 degrees is the current temperature. We saw as high as 93 degrees, and that felt pretty much like what it feels like now. Anyway, winds out of the west-southwest, 6 miles per hour. It's not too smoky. Happy, not too much smoke. We must be getting a big gust out of the south, maybe not so much out of the west. I don't know. Humidity was 8%. Sunrise this morning, 6:38 a.m. It was glorious. Tonight it will set at 6:29 p.m. We lost another couple minutes. I don't know. We lost a couple minutes to daylight, but check it out. We gained more night. Low tonight, 60 degrees, east-northeast winds carrying some smoke out of the east at 4 miles per hour. Should be okay. Humidity-wise, 15%, still very, very dry. But let's take a look at the weather as we go on through the week. Let's set ourselves up, shall we? Let's do that. 97, 98, 98. It's going to stay pretty warm here for the next 3-4 days. Cooling off a little bit Monday, Tuesday. Getting down about 92 degrees as we head on later in the week. Lows at night staying in the low 60s, and that's feeling pretty pleasant here on Jerry Lee Lewis's birthday in Pahrump. That's your weather report. I'm John Kohler. Back to the ladies.
Thanks so much, John. We're going to show you a picture of a dog that is available that we just heard about. This is Brutus. Brutus is 5 years old, and he is a brindle pit bull mix, and he's available right now. His owner passed away, so he is available to anyone who would want him. Of course, a good home. So if you would like to have him, Unit's going to tell you the number.
Yes, you can give a call to 775-400-5838 and just ask for Brutus. A2, Brute.
And Brutus would prefer to be the only dog inside the home, and they would also like to have kids that are a little bit older for Brutus. Yes. And that's going to wrap up this edition of News 25. I'm Deanna O'Donnell.
And I'm Unette Gentry, and from all of us here at KPVM and 8th Country Radio, thanks so much for joining us, and we will see you next newscast.
Good night.
Good night.